GT America returns to action with the second leg of its twin bill at Circuit of the Americas, and race one yesterday was a barn burner. We'll see what happens today in drastically different conditions, overcast skies and much cooler weather as well, which comes as a welcome respite after a hot buildup to this Sunday in Central Texas. Hello, my name's Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. It's Amanda Busick down in the pit lane. But Cal, let's go back to yesterday. What a duel we had at the front of the field. Tony Davis had the race seemingly on lockdown, fending off charge after charge from Memo Gidley, but the veteran, the savvy vet, found a way by on the final lap.
Yeah, Gidley went 3 on the bounce here yesterday. Just really took every ounce of his experience to make the job work there. But Tony Davis, he's got to be thinking overnight, how can I do things a little bit different? He's got the pace in that race car. He drove a really clean race, but it really kind of typifies Coda and how raceable this racetrack is. He was trying to defend there down in turn 11, and that's just made that he was slow on that back straightaway, and Gidley pounced on him.
That race was run in the afternoon heat. Instead today, just 75 degrees. Still very humid, not exactly pleasant conditions, but much more favorable than yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a little bit more bearable for the drivers behind the wheel and in those steaming hot cockpits, but it also changes the balance of the racetrack. Here we see Carl Washington. He's seen action already this morning with GT World Challenge America just a few minutes ago, so he's warm literally and ready to go and should be into a rhythm. So he's going to be starting a lot further up the grid. Didn't have a great qualifying run yesterday, but certainly pushed hard, but he's going to be starting from the second row here today. He's got speed based on that fast lap yesterday. Let's see if he can threaten those front two up on the front row of Davis and Gidley.
Tony Davis, despite the fact he lost the win on the final lap, has to be pleased with the way he drove, controlling the race from the front, and for nearly 40 minutes he had the better of Memo Gidley.
He did, and Gidley went to the front, and Davis immediately responded and took the lead back and looked to be really controlling the race, but he just got a little bit overly defensive with the lines, what you sometimes do around here. You don't want to open up the door and just have someone drive by you on that last lap, but that just set up that dynamic on the back straightaway.
In addition to myself and Cal, the third member of the team today, as always, is Amanda Busick. Let's welcome her in now.
Hey guys, yeah, and I saw the exact same thing over at the podium yesterday with Tony Davis. He kind of just threw his hands up, but very happy of what's happening here, happened at Circuit of the Americas. I do want to say it was pretty chaotic down here with the delay for GT World Challenge America qualifying. The officials did down here give teams time to work on these vehicles under that 5-minute warning, so no penalties coming there. But we're getting ready to get going. Memo Gidley here on the front row from his fastest lap yesterday. Guys, it's for the words. Drivers, start your engines.
And we'll get ready to go here in just a few moments. There they go, roaring to life. Fantastic day, not just for Memo yesterday, but for the whole Ski Autosports team. One of the team owners, Ken Hussey, it was his birthday yesterday, and it was a dramatic birthday present, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was. Certainly came right at the end of that race, so we'll see how this one shapes up. Hopefully Memo didn't celebrate too hard last night, but he's loving life. He's got a second lease on life in terms of this stage of his career, to being a championship race-winning car. Great group around him. He loves his engineer, Rosella, and the whole team led by Phil Creighton there. So they got a good group, but they recognize that it's a stacked field this year. Looking at how close those times were, we had the first 8-9 cars less than a second separation in terms of fast lap yesterday. That should really showcase itself here in the race too this morning.
15 cars in that top SRO3 class, which is effectively a GT3 class. Also 3 additional cars, one in the Cup class, that's the Ginetta, and then a pair in the GT4 class, a BMW and a Porsche Cayman. So there will be an element of mixed class racing. We saw that pop up a couple of times over the course of the race yesterday. It's a log lap, so they don't trip over each other too often, but when it happens, it has the potential to impact a class battle or two. Here's how they'll line up for the second race of the weekend. On the pole position, it is Memo Gidley from Ski Autosports, with Tony Davis starting to his outside. Second row, Kyle Washington, only a 9th place finish yesterday, but had the 3rd fastest race lap. He'll start 3rd next to Dan Knox, finished 6th in race number 1. Scott Blinn, Porsche single-make champ extraordinaire, starts 5th today. Jason McCarthy had a good run yesterday. He'll start alongside. 7th, Taraj Schwest. Mark Muzzo will start 8th in the Ferrari for our Ferry Motorsport. Then in row 5, it's Joel Cortez for RS1 with Dave Musial Sr. and the Wright Motorsports entry next to him. Thor Haugen for Scuderia Corsa and John Manship will share row number 6. While in row 7, it's Tony Ferraro and Rodin Unesi. 8th row of the grid, that's where you find CJ Moses making his second start of the year. David Lecco in the Ginetta. In the lone Cup class entry, then it's Joe Petkus, a winner yesterday. He's got pole in GT4 with Craig Lumsden alongside, starting in row number 9. Just the one formation lap here at COTA. It is a long one, and we're about halfway through it. Drivers working to get the cars prepped and ready to go. Let's talk a bit about the track here, this setting. You mentioned it earlier. It races extremely well, and it throws a lot of challenges at drivers and engineers alike.
It really does. You got these long straightaways, so you'd like the car to be trimmed out a little bit to really get down there and into those overtaking opportunities at the end of them into turn 1 and down here into turn 12, which the field is now approaching. A lot of elevation change, a lot of high-speed transition stuff down through the S's. We've also got those big tire bundles that have been incorporated into the layout this year, so that kind of changes the sight pitch. It's also almost like driving through a street circuit there at times, I would feel. But yeah, I love this circuit. Really allows for great racing side by side. You can kind of set someone up, you can make a move and get the crossover on the way out of the corner, so it certainly provides a great dynamic.
It's a great place, and the man with the best view might be Mike Maddox, guest of Cielo Vision. He's got the green flag in hand. That's what the drivers will be looking for as they come around turn 20 to get the race underway. Big thanks to everyone at Cielo Vision, big partners here for GT World Texas, this great event, which is seeing the largest attendance of any SRO America event on record. And that was in the build-up to today. Things were trending to that, and it looks like those trends have continued. 40 minutes up on the clock, lights out on the safety car, and we're about to turn these 18 cars loose for the final time here this weekend. Field under the control of the veteran Mamo Gidley, race winner in dramatic fashion yesterday. Tony Davis, can he do one better after that runner-up result in race number 1? Then the second row, that's where you find Kyle Washington, fresh out of GT World Challenge America qualifying. He'll know these conditions better than anybody else on the grid. Dan Knox will start 4th. Scott Blend and Jason McCarthy. Raj Schwest and Mark Mutzo in row number 4. Waiting for the green flag, just moments away. As Gidley starts to step on it, there's the green. We're racing at Circuit of the Americas, 4th race of the 2026 season. And Gidley does exactly what he set out to do. Grabs the lead up the hill to 1, and wow, Washington on the charge. Very nearly makes contact with the Ferrari.
Yeah, he looked to the inside, but wisely decided to get out of it. Still pretty close there, side by side. Ross West has had a really good start. Looks like McCarthy maybe has dropped a little bit after the off.
Schwest in that Corvette, silver and black, just behind the Lone Star Mercedes, just behind him. That's where you find McCarthy. McCarthy's got company in the form of Joel Cortez in the Porsche. SRO 3 field starting to snake their way through the high-speed S's and now into this tighter, more technical section.
Look at Gidley, he's just scampered off here, just really got the hammer down. May have gone a little bit aggressive with the tire pressure setup as Blinn looks for a way around Washington as they come through turn 11 there.
Scott Blend in the highlighter yellow and purple machine to the outside of the E-Boost Porsche of Washington. Kyle sees him coming. Blend goes up and over those exit curbs, which can be a pretty rough ride, but he kept the foot down. Now it's a drag race down this kilometer-long back straightaway, and Blend seemingly had the edge, at least early on, but now Washington appears to be coming back, and he'll have the inside line.
Yeah, side by side between the two Porsches as the rest of the field settles in. A little bit deeper on the brakes as Kyle Washington, but Blinn sends it around the outside. A little bit out of bounds there. He's probably got to give that position up, and Dan Knox is sitting there in that yellow and blue Mercedes looking for a way through at the same time.
Dan had a good day yesterday, as mentioned, finished in 6th. Started 4th today, but has slipped back a position here at the start. Blend looking aggressive, looking comfortable in the early going.
Man who's looking comfortable is Mamo Gidley. I think he had a couple of extra double espressos this morning because he has been up on the wheel and on the gas pedal hard on this opening lap.
Well, remember, he did the same yesterday. He just started from further back. He started 4th and got to 2nd, actually challenged for the lead on the opening lap. This time he had some track position and he absolutely capitalized on it.
Yes, he did.
Field coming through turn number 20 to complete lap number 1. Mamo Gidley's lead at the line, 2.3 seconds over Tony Davis. Then it's Kyle Washington, another second or so back. Scott Blind in third. Knox in, make that in fourth. Knox in fifth. Top five running relatively close together. Really second, third, fourth, and fifth. Very close. And Ross Schwest trying to hang on.
Starting to settle in now. Tyres will be getting into their sweet spot. Pressures are up, temperatures are there. Blind, a little bit of a wiggle there as he comes down through turn 4. See those huge tyre packs, which kind of makes these corners a little bit blind there as you head through the first part of the S's.
Schwest under pressure now. McCarthy absolutely has him in the crosshairs. Ooh, Schwest had a loss of momentum there momentarily. McCarthy read it nicely, gets to the outside to make contact. Yep, but continue on. McCarthy grabs the spot.
Yeah, super impressed with McCarthy yesterday. We talked about he hadn't been in a race car since last October, so he's doing a really nice job. Ball moved down the inside there by Mutso. Cortez, he's going to clear him as they come off the... Oh, contact there as Cortez trying to get back on line.
That was Musial, who was trying to hook his nose up the inside and take advantage of Cortez getting shoved wide, and the two came together momentarily, but do continue on. Meanwhile, Kyle Washington is on the charge, takes that lunge to the inside. Does he have the position around Davis? This is the fight for second place. Davis will have the inside line now, though.
This is what this racetrack is all about. There's so many options to you. And look at that, Scott Blind suddenly up and over the curb. He tries to make a move on the Ferrari, but Washington is through, has made that position stick. Does he have any pace to chase down Gidley up front? He's got a massive lead, almost 3.5 seconds.
I think that move from Blind really helped set Washington free. There's James Safronis, team boss for GMG, watching his driver Kyle Washington. Hope James is feeling a little better. I understand picked up a rib injury in the paddock at Sonoma, and that's curtailed some of his racing this year. But I hope you feel it a little bit better, James, and certainly seeing Kyle Washington give this car a good run will bring a smile to his face.
Yeah, it's been a really strong start to this race. We talked about his speed potential now coming from row 2. Obviously dropped down the order midway through the race yesterday, so looking to get back into this points chase. Gidley looking to go 4 on the badge to start the 2026 season. Washington came into the weekend P2 in points.
Had a good outing, as you say, in Sonoma. Fifth at a second, 22 points back entering the weekend. Yesterday, though, was a tough day. Only a 9th place finish, but crucially had the 3rd fastest lap. So that sets him up here for a strong run. He raced number 2, and you have to think the fact that he had just been on track for qualifying is very much to his benefit.
Yeah, it was, but I like the fact that he wasn't overly aggressive up into that brake zone on the opening lap up into turn 1, because you can suddenly think, I'm going to make this stick. These guys are still half asleep this morning, and I'm going to make a bold move, and he didn't do that. Now we see Blind getting around Davis as well. So I think the biggest surprise here, not only that opening lap by Gidley, but I just wonder if Davis is not confident in his race car right now, because yesterday in tremendous pace, didn't look good on that opening lap. Now he's dropped all the way back down to 4th position.
Trying to stay with Blind, running in the slipstream. Blind goes on the defensive here. Davis late on the brakes, trying to roll the speed around the outside of Scott. The two do bang doors again.
Someone lost a little bit of body work in that confrontation.
Blind rolling around the outside there, taking a really wide arc, but it let him keep the speed up. Again, they rubbed together just a moment, but Blind is through once more. Wonder if the conditions being so different are affecting Tony and the Ferrari.
Yeah, maybe they just missed the setup a little bit, or something's going a little bit wrong technically with that race car, but Davis certainly seems to be struggling. Still a strong run, but in comparison to yesterday, and you got to feel he's got some of that highlighter yellow on that red and white Ferrari right now.
It's a sharp-looking livery on the Ferrari, though. Here comes McCarthy. This is the carbon black Ferrari to the inside of Knox. Saw McCarthy scrapping away with Schwest to get a spot a couple of laps ago. He's left Schwest in the background, and now is moments away, perhaps, from taking 5th place away from the Mercedes driver.
Get very late on the brakes with the compression with the tire into that incline, 11% grade. They're up into turn 1, still going side by side. Knox has to give it up a little bit through that fast sweep, but that's mimicked after the Senna S at Interlagos. Then you get into a piece of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, Maggots, Beckett's Chapel, coming through these high-speed S's. See a little wiggle there by Knox, but he hangs on to it. Got a lot of confidence in that race car, doing a nice job.
There's the Mercedes platform exceedingly well, as does that Lone Star team, but it doesn't seem like Knox has the pace today to keep up with the front runners. Drop back to 6th place now.
Mutso there in the red Ferrari, Cortez right on his tail. Mutso trying to get onto the back there of Schwess, get a little bit closer as they head down this long back stretch.
Mark under pressure from Joel. Driving time is up here, and so Norris won Porsche. Now, while he wasn't on track, their team was a few moments ago for GT World Challenge America qualifying, so that could help at least give some information to Joel Cortez about what to expect.
Absolutely, that transfer of knowledge is really important, can certainly be a trick up your sleeve, so to speak. Some of the engineers will be talking about what did they feel in that qualifying session. Obviously, the car is set up for a short run versus this 40-minute sprint race.
Looks like there's pace aplenty in that Porsche. He can get around the Ferrari, perhaps even the Corvette. I think Joel Cortez is as quick as anybody right now, but he's got to solve this riddle first, and it's not an easy thing to do. Mark Mutso, lots of experience in Ferrari Challenge, knows the Ferrari platform generally really well, and the rFerrari team certainly knows their way around a Ferrari. They've engineered them at a high level for a long, long time.
Up front, Gidley continues to dominate. Gap right now is 3.7 seconds. Last lap he pulled another 4/10 out over Carl Washington. McCarthy, though, is absolutely flying there in P5. He just laid down the best lap of the race at 2:08.66. So the man sitting in there in 5th in the 111 competition Ferrari has really got tremendous pace.
You brought up the point earlier. It's been the better part of a year since he was most recently in a race car until here this weekend. So you would think with each successive session, he's just going to be more comfortable, more at home, more willing to seek out and find the limit.
Yeah, that confidence is going to build, certainly.
McCarthy last year ran much of the season in Ferrari Challenge. Didn't do the finale overseas at the World Final at Mugello, but he's been a champion in single-make Ferrari racing in the past.
And he's coached by a past champion in Ferraris. Alessandro Balzan is his driver coach. You can see that right side view mirror looking a little bit out of shape. Must have had a little clip at some point, but yeah, he's got someone who's had tremendous success and a lot of time on this racetrack. Balzan is one of the best in a Ferrari GT3 car, multiple-time champion, so certainly got a keen voice in his ear when he's traversing around this COTA racetrack.
Check in with the other classes now. Joe Pedkis, winner yesterday, and continues to show the way in the second race as well. RCX is the team. Greg Lumsden about 5 seconds back trying to chase down the Porsche driver. Comes Craig now in the BMW from Colorado Motorsports by Flying Lizard. They had a nice night last night, didn't they, in Rally GT4 America and the Lone Star Enduro.
Yeah, celebrated the podium there. As here we see Davis now suddenly back up on the wheel. So just wonder if they maybe start a little bit too low on the tire pressures. And this guy coming in. We talk about McCarthy. He's suddenly right up there in the mix. Has gotten around Blind on this lap.
How about that? That's not something that's happened much in the last calendar year. Scott Blind won about everything there was to win in his season last year. 4 single-make Porsche championships. Finds himself shuffled back here down to the 5th spot. McCarthy up to 4th with pace in hand. Still holds the fastest lap of the race.
It's been a little bobble for Washington on that last lap as well. He lost a ton of ground to Gidley. The gap at the front now is like 5.7. But McCarthy is the man on the move and maybe a potential threat for a podium, if not a runner-up finish right now as they ran.
I think we got to look at what happened a few moments ago. Davis to the inside of Blind. This was down in turn 20. Forces Blind out wide, and that gave a great run to McCarthy, and then we caught the end of it from there.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he maybe makes a move up here into turn 1. See Davis holding the middle of the road, Blind to the outside. There goes McCarthy. carves it down at the apex and just takes advantage there of Blind being a little bit outside of where you'd like to be there on the entry to turn 1.
Like Scott maybe was so focused on the battle with Davis that McCarthy stuck in and entered sight unseen, was able to take advantage of that and pick up the spot.
A lot harder to see that black Ferrari than that is that
right.
yellow Porsche, that is for sure.
Well, Scott's run with bright colored cars pretty much his whole career, and it fits with the team name Ruckus Racing. He told the story yesterday. They like to cause a ruckus racing go-karts around back in the day.
His buddies used to have a lot of fun racing go-karts, and then they said, well, would we come up for a name for the race team? And it was as simple as that. So I thought it was going to be something more intriguing, but I like it and love his attitude. He really enjoys his racing. He's very proud of the group that he's put together with Michael Johnson and that whole St. Louis group there. Some really fine young engineers on the program who he believes in. Got Andrew Davis as a coach who's just top-notch, such a gentleman, such a great racer himself. So he's got all of the pieces in place, and he's done an amazing job.
They've got big plans for where they'd like his racing career to go. Set a really high standard with all the success last year in Carrera Cup and in Sprint and Endurance Challenge Porsche Racing. And now stepping up to the GT3 ranks and taking a look there at the inside of the Ferrari. Wasn't close enough, had to back out of it, wisely so. That could have been catastrophic, but everyone continues on. Meanwhile, McCarthy certainly heaping the pressure on Tony Davis right now. Yesterday's runner-up and the driver who led the most laps in race number 1, very much on the back foot here today.
Yeah, 2 Ferraris really duking it out. I think the Davis car is starting to come to life a little bit. I think he's really struggling there in the initial laps of this motor race, but maybe they just set the car up to come in a little bit later, but much cooler conditions this morning, so that may have tripped them up a little bit. A little hypothetical, but you'd have to feel that the man that was really had the strongest car yesterday and has kind of faded a little bit at the beginning of this race, but trying to make amends right now with about 15 minutes left in this motor race.
On the other side of the coin, Washington was the man on the move early, and now doesn't seem to have the same level of comfort in his Porsche. Goes super wide there. Not sure if that was by design or not. Davis tried to lunge through the open door, but couldn't. What does the body language of Kyle Washington's Porsche say to you, Cal?
Looks good right now. He obviously had a bobble about 2 laps ago where he lost a ton of ground to Gidley and allowed this chasing trio to be much closer, obviously. But when Kyle keeps it clean, he's got the pace there. So it's all about just really focusing, not overdriving the race car. And I think he's so comfortable with the car being a little bit out of shape, but really sort of like goes back to his dirt bike racing days where he's used to a machine that's a little bit out of control and sliding around, but he recognizes that the speed is in the race car when you keep it neat and tidy. Don't overdrive the entries to these corners. And I think that's what Tom Sargent and the GMG team are working on with him.
Read my mind. I was going to say that seems to be what Tom has unlocked in Kyle. The car control has been there from the beginning. He's been fearless from the beginning. Really good in the cut and thrust of a duel, but trying to even dial it back a little bit to make sure you're looking after the tires, not taking undue risk. It seems like Tom's been able to get through to him in a way that maybe we hadn't seen in the past.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great combination. That's what's fun to see these Pro-Am programs come together and see the progress, particularly with the AM and how they sort of elevate their game through the course of a season or multiple seasons like we've been watching with Kyle Washington.
David Lecco, only car in the Cup class this weekend, did have some opposition in Sonoma, but still came out on top. So a perfect 3 for 3 on the season in terms of class victories, and showcasing what this Ginetta G56 GTP8 could do. Great little race car, close to 400 brake horsepower, 6.2 liter V8 power plant. Sounds great, looks great.
Oh, here we go. Look at this battle between the Ferraris. Down in that turn 12 brake zone. Davis likes this shallow entry. He's used it earlier in the race to try and maintain position. And that sets him up for McCarthy to have a run on the opposite side as they exit the corner. Blinder's just sitting there in the shadows looking for opportunity.
While they squabble away, the lead for Memo Gidley continues to grow, nearly 6 seconds at last check between the Audi driver and Kyle Washington in the Porsche here at the head of this battle pack. Davis now has dropped McCarthy all of a sudden and is reeling Washington back in. Meanwhile, Blind would like a measure of revenge, having lost his spot to McCarthy a few laps ago.
I think McCarthy just got a little bit out of rhythm there when he was trying to force the issue, and Davis has used that shallow entry into turn 13 a couple of times to maintain that track position. It seems to work for him, so he's comfortable with that traffic up ahead here. This could stymie Washington a little bit. Let's see how he deals with that. Should fire it around the outside, so no drama there, and Davis goes through with him.
Craig Lumsden in that BMW, letting the top class come on by. It's relatively drama-free there. Kyle Washington's been in that position in the past. He came up through the GT4 part of GT America years ago. I have to believe that helps if you've worn the other shoe before and you know what it's like when the fast class comes on by. That can affect the way you approach it now that you're in the top class. Meanwhile, McCarthy with a little slip up there. Here comes Blind with a head full of steam, looking to the inside of the Ferrari now.
And that was really set up a couple of corners ago where McCarthy just asked too much from his race car and got really wide through turn 8. And that just allowed Blind to get the run, but now McCarthy comes back at him on the exit of turn 11 down the long back stretch.
Fight for 4th and 5th. He reached the halfway mark. Blind had the spot momentarily, but McCarthy got a good run out of that tight hairpin corner down this back straightaway now. Into the brake zone they go with McCarthy edging ahead once again. Blind will try to counterattack. Will he have any recourse? No. McCarthy back in front.
I love Blind's racecraft. He seems to be really on top of things in terms of thinking ahead a little bit about where he needs to position the car through the initial phase of a corner to maybe take advantage on the exit. So he just really seems to read the scenarios very, very precisely.
Look on the screen. McCarthy up 2 spots. Biggest mover of the race so far. And he might not be done yet. Not that long ago, it looked like he was going to threaten Tony Davis for a spot on the podium.
He just needs to get back into a rhythm. I think he's just starting to ask too much from the race car. Just thought, well, I need a bit more speed, and was asking for it in the wrong place. So I think he just needs to tidy things back up again, start hitting his marks. There's certainly pace in that 111 competition Ferrari here this morning.
Car looks well prepared. It's been on the pace all weekend. Finished 5th, as we talked about yesterday. Did Jason. Right now would do one better. Yesterday was his debut in GT America, by the way, coming out of the Ferrari Challenge ranks. Little traffic up the road. It's Joe Petkus, leader in GT4, that Kyle Washington, Tony Davis and company will have to negotiate. Tough spot on the track, perhaps to catch the traffic. Actually, this broke pretty well for Washington. Petkus saw them coming, gave them plenty of space to the inside. Similar for McCarthy and for Blind. So top 5 are through the GT4 traffic this time around.
It was reported from pit lane. He checked in with HP Tech on Davis's Ferrari and said they did change the setup a little bit, but they don't feel that's why he's backed up a little bit this morning. They just said the competition is really tough. I don't know what magic sauce Rosella put on Mamo Gidley's car, but whatever she did, that car has been dynamite this morning.
Mamo was ready to go right with the That is one area that a driver of his experience level you would think would have an edge, being willing and able to find the limit of adhesion on cold tires right out of the gate, especially when you're in traffic right at the start.
Yeah, I think that's the differentiator between good drivers and great drivers, is just being able to put the car right on the edge, not worrying about if you step over that threshold, having the ability and the confidence to control a race car in tricky conditions, which you can certainly have when the race car and the tires knocks right into their window where they need to be. So Gidley put it all on the line. It's worked out great for him. I'm sure he's just managing things up front. See if he tries to respond with a fast lap late in the going. But right now his fast lap is about 3/10 off McCarthy's best of the day.
3 sectors, 3 different brands with the best sector times split between Porsche, Audi, and Ferrari. Saw that moments ago on Race Vision powered by AWS. Check in with Ross Schwest now, who is down in 7th position. Ross with a 4th and a 9th at Sonoma. Raced his way to the podium yesterday, finished in 3rd place. And that car came on as the race went along, as I recall, but he's got some work to do.
Yeah, they've been running the car in the GT World Challenge America sessions as well, having his teammate from last year, Aaron Povolato, do some laps. And Aaron cut some really fast times during some of those sessions, so I think the car has pace. And, for Ross, he's got a lot on his mind. He's obviously expecting that.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't think we'll see him at Road Atlanta later this year, if I'm remembering the reports correctly. But yes, new addition coming to the Schwest family.
I believe that'll be his third trial.
That's right. Bit of a baby boom in the paddock because got Cameron Lawrence also expecting any week now.
Well, his wife Morgan has said, I will have the baby before Sebring. You are racing in Sebring. So normally you're trying to convince the wife, well, can I go? She's like, you're going.
Yeah. Well, she's been a part of Cam's journey for a long, long time and really gets it. We'll see him later on today in GT World Challenge America. Scott Blind, ooh. Wasn't sure he really was committed to that move until it suddenly looked a bit more tantalizing.
Well, I think he was thinking about getting back online, and I think he thought he might run over the top of the Ferrari, so had to jink back to the inside again. So I don't think that was a legitimate thought, well, I'm going to have another bite at passing him. It's just like, I don't want to run into the tail end of him. And obviously, when you're tucked up behind these GT3 cars with a massive rear wing, you do lose a little bit of downforce on the front end as well.
It's been interesting, the ebb and flow of this battle. At times, all the drivers have looked strong. At times, all of them have looked vulnerable to a degree.
Gap up front is getting smaller.
Yeah, Washington just did his best middle sector. Check it this lap. It was over 5 seconds a few laps ago. It's down to just 3.8 now. So Memo Gidley is coming back to the pack.
Yeah, and Washington's finding time. His last lap was his best of the day at 2:08.4. Blinder's been knocking on the door some really fast laps. He ran a 2:08.5, I believe, on the previous lap. So there's pace in this field, and that really showcases what HP Tech told Amanda. You know, we may be a little bit off, but it's just the competition level is so high. Oh, traffic here for Washington. This is not ideal. It's going to give Davis a little bit of a run. That Jeanetta's pretty good through the S's, so it doesn't give up a lot, but doesn't have the horsepower of these SRO GT3 machinery.
It's on display there, just how quick the Jeanetta is through the tight stuff like this. Washington showing some patience here. Has to be frustrating because he was making inroads on the leader, but had to sit and wait. Now he pulls to the inside. So too Davis. Here comes McCarthy.
Wow. That mirror is finally let go completely. It was wobbling around in the breeze there for some time and had another knock there and it's taken off.
Whoa, Davis
in the grass. That is wild stuff there on the exit of turn 11.
Cost him a lot of momentum, cost him a couple of spots there. There's the brain trust for a couple of these teams. That's the HP Tech team watching on. The battle's not done yet. Blind very opportunistic to get one spot. Can he make it two? Back to the inside of McCarthy he goes. Got the position.
Yeah, McCarthy had to give that one up as Scott just kind of washed out there on the exit of turn 12, and now he's opened up the door. A little mistake there by Scott. McCarthy's pounced. Washington, meanwhile, has escaped a little bit, but he's lost a lot of ground. That traffic really cost him about 2 to 3 seconds on the gap to the leader, Gidley. So I wonder if Gidley was fighting traffic there. That's why that gap came down, and that was repaid in spades, it seems, to the chasing group 1 lap later.
I had the same thought. I think you're probably onto something there. Gidley dealt with the traffic first, and then a little bit later on in the lap, this group did as well. Washington, the clear winner, though, out of this foursome. Second, third, fourth, and fifth that had been linked together pretty well. Let's give Davis some credit after that wild off-track moment, which saw him get up in the air over the dirt and bumps off the paved part of the racetrack. He's back on it again and has run down Blind and McCarthy.
Yeah, this is a fascinating battle. Second back through fifth.
You can extend it now to include Knox and Schwest. They were at the back of the shot just a moment ago too. Yeah, here they come. Mercedes and Corvette. And tell you what, Mark Muzzo's hanging around too. He's not out of this conversation.
Just really love the field this year, just looking at the lap times, how competitive everyone is. We've obviously got a lot of new faces in our championships, past champions like Gidley, drivers like Schwest who have been in this game for quite some time, but love the dynamic. Just really, really cool. Felt last year we lost traction a little bit in terms of the competitiveness of the championship, but it's certainly back in spades for this year.
Schwest and Knox fighting out of the hairpin. Schwest got that position. He's been working on Dan for a couple of laps. Finally was able to unlock that door, get alongside it by now. Mutso thinks about making a run to the inside too. That brings Cortez now into this fight in the RS1 Porsche.
Yeah, there's battles everywhere right now. This is great stuff. This is going to make it enjoyable for these drivers. They're going to really appreciate the great racing that they're finding with different brands represented, different levels of experience, both in general and within this championship.
Great mix of machinery, to your point. Corvette, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Porsche just in this shot. Got the Audi out in front. Great showcase of the diversity of machinery in an SRO paddock on a given weekend. Some Pro Dynamics on the side of Joe Cortez's car. That's his business in his native Mexico tire company. Passionate racer. But like so many of those in this field, this is not a full-time occupation.
New fast lap. Last time across the stripe by Kyle Washington, a 2:08.2, 1.2 seconds faster than Gidley's lap. So gap now is down to 4.8 seconds.
How about that? Kyle is on his horse now, and he has every motivation to try and run down the leader because Gidley has rattled off 3 straight wins to open the season. Washington certainly had championship aspirations coming into the year. Gets difficult to overcome when your title rival goes on a streak like the one that Gidley's on right now.
Yeah, it's a big hole to dig your way out of, but for Kyle Washington, he's got pace. I mean, he has the speed, he has the talent. I think it's all about just the discipline and piecing it all together. Getting that consistency will bring him the results because he's certainly got it. And the speed is there in that G&G Porsche as well.
Yeah, Washington's now left this fight here for 3rd place to McCarthy and to Blend. These two have been swapping positions for basically 30 minutes. Every time you think one has the edge, suddenly the position changes hands once again. Right now, the spot belongs to McCarthy, and what a result that would be for him to get on the podium in his first weekend in GT America. Meanwhile, should tell a few other stories. Here's CJ Moses making his first appearance in the championship here this weekend. Raced, of course, race 1 yesterday. Was not at Sonoma, but busy guy with his business commitments with AWS, but great member, long-standing member of the paddock. Back in a GT3 car, Calvin, for the first time in about half a decade.
Yeah, and he's got to be enjoying life. These cars are such a thrill to drive around a circuit like this. Kevin Bohm has been coaching him here this weekend. And CJ just loves his racing. He's busy. He got a busy time right now in the world of AWS, but also great to, I would think, get away from his office life and get here on a racetrack and get set in a different type of office behind the wheel of this stunning Mercedes.
It looks after security on behalf of Amazon globally. You can imagine, given world events in the last month or so, the challenges that might present. He was telling me all about it. There was about a week period where he wasn't getting a whole lot of sleep, pretty much constantly on call, dealing with events primarily in the Middle East, but things on his side at least have settled down somewhat, and he was able to make the trip out here, but it did curtail any testing they had planned, which has him a bit on the back foot given the fact he doesn't get to get behind the wheel of a race car all that often these days.
It's a tall order to jump into, particularly a championship as competitive as this one is now, to really make a huge impression. But he'll get there. I mean, it's all about just reps and getting laps in. Speaking about reps, Kyle Washington, another new fast laps who continues to trim off that number. Another 0.6 to the good on Gidley. So he's cutting into that lead at a rapid rate. I think he might be a little bit shy. Gidley certainly got the experience to know that, okay, what is the gap, what is the delta, do the math and know that he's probably got enough in hand, but it's going to be certainly tight if they continue on the trend they've been in for the last 2 or 3 laps.
Mentioned yesterday that the win for Gidley was quite the birthday present for team owner Kim Hussey. Amanda letting us know that everybody on the team signed the trophy for the race 1 win yesterday, presented it to Kent, and Kent says it's the best birthday present he's ever had.
That's for sure. They just love their racing, love being here on site and watching Mamo do his thing behind the wheel.
Knox, Muzzo, Cortez. This is the fight for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Mercedes, Ferrari, and Porsche. That's how they run out of turn 20 with 7 minutes, 20 seconds to go.
Schwechter's got his head down. He's kind of gapped himself from Knox and company here, and he's getting ever closer to that battle between Blind and Davis. So seems like Ross is really starting to find some lap time there in that Corvette.
And you're right, the fight now is between Blind and Davis. Now, no longer McCarthy and Blind. McCarthy has also been able to pull the gap over the last lap and a half or so. Doesn't seem to be under as much pressure. He can hang on here. A podium finish in his first weekend of the championship is what lies ahead. That would be a really impressive result. Talking about the different sectors, and Blind has been the man through sector 2, although look how close it is. Pretty much everybody right there in the same picture in the top 5.
See the graphic there, Gidley's lead now is 3.4 seconds. So last time across the stripe, another new fast lap. Washington has really got into rhythm. Keeps trimming a tenth of a second off the fast lap of the race. Almost getting into 7.2, 8.03. But Gidley must have got the message. He's responded with his best lap of the race. Admittedly, still a couple of tenths off of Kyle's pace, but trying to manage that gap at the front with 6 minutes left on the table.
Time not on Kyle Washington's side at this stage. Just 6 minutes to go. Time for a few more laps, but that's it. Here is Mamo Gidley, the new paint scheme on the car that the team is calling Amanda Busick Lipstick Red. Apropos. And it has been the color of victory in 2026.
You see the gap, there is Washington. It's like a donkey with a carrot when you get this close. He's going to keep digging deep.
There's the lipstick, left-hand side of the screen. Amanda having a word with the ski team. Thanks for coming into the shot there to illustrate the point. How about the laps this time by Cal?
Well, not close to those fast laps, but even so, Washington half a second quicker than Gidley. So that gap is coming down rapidly. Probably looking at 3 laps to go, so it's not going to be enough. He's got to find basically a delta about 1.25 seconds a lap to be able to make it stick for threatening for the win. But Gidley's got to be feeling, I've got to manage this. I can't afford any big slips here. I don't need any traffic here till the checkered flag. Otherwise, Washington could be threatening me for the win.
All right, even if a win isn't in the cards in this race for Kyle Washington, this is not his last race of the day. He still has the 3-hour GT World Challenge America race to come, and this has to be a confidence-inspiring performance that they can carry over into the race this afternoon.
Big time. And you got to feel that Tom Sargent's got to be really smiling right now. Oh, and Blinder's off the road.
Keeps those wheels spinning. Can he dig out of the gravel trap? Yes.
Nice job.
Wow. Able to rejoin, but how much ground did he lose? Quite a bit. Looks like down to at least 10th place. Not sure what led to that, but I think we're about to find out.
Yeah, just takes in too much speed there through the high-speed S's and just loses the tail, tries to correct and loses it the other way. Fortunately, he got all the way to the grass, so he got a little bit of a bite to then get that momentum through the gravel trap. Typically, you're just stuck there, and we could have finished this race under yellow with the time left on the board.
You can see, though, the gravel still spraying out of the back of that car. It's amazing the crevices that the gravel will find in a race car. They might still be digging it out by the time we get to Sebring next month.
Maybe fill in some of the cracks at Sebring with the
right.
gravel.
Well, frustrating there for Scott, who has given the car a really good ride today. But it's part of the learning process, making the step to GT3. He's the first to admit it's a big one.
It's not ideal for Washington here, getting a little bit stymied through that final corner. That'll cost him a few tenths on that battle with Gidley. Another 8 tenths he's trimmed out of Gidley's lead.
But Mamo will know, even at that rate, it won't be enough. 2 laps to go.
Gonna be tight. Washington is feeling it. He's got to be in such a great rhythm right now. The car is there. He's found it. Just super consistent, just keeps trimming. A few hundreds, which become a tenth.
Battle on here, Mutso Cortez. This is for the 7th position. Cortez squeezes ahead. He'll grab the position.
It's got to be wild there when you're attempting to go side by side with those big tire bundles there. Almost looks like a concrete wall. There's about 40 tires in there, and I don't know how much a tire weighs, maybe 20 pounds or something. So you're looking about an 800-pound lump that you're going to be trying to move if you clip it.
It has been a major change in terms of how the track limits are policed this year. We've not seen those in the past. Great pass, though, by Cortez. Plenty of bravery on display. And good respect as well. The two were able to coexist in a tough part of the track to be side by side.
Yeah, it's been a great low battle. He's worked really hard there to get the upper hand, and Mark doesn't have a lot of time now to respond.
Knox now working his way through the traffic. Ferrari ahead is Rodin Unesi, who runs 15th. Unesi making his first starts of the season here this weekend. Wasn't at Sonoma Raceway.
Gidley has managed the gap here. Not much to choose between Gidley and Washington on this lap so far. Washington marginally quicker in sector 2, but Gidley had a couple of tenths on him in sector 1, so Gidley is managing this to perfection. Trying to have the perfect season so far, going 4 wins to start the 26 campaign.
They'll see the white flag this time by just over a minute to go at Circuit of the Americas. Memo Gidley now just 3.4 miles away from starting the season with 4 consecutive victories. Kyle Washington pushing for all he's worth. He's got it down to 2.7 seconds, but the sand is running out of the hourglass, Cal.
It is. Let's see what he can put together on this last lap. You know he's going to be digging deep, not giving up hope. Thinking, is there any traffic on the horizon that's going to balk Memo, give me an opportunity? That last lap, he was a 10th quicker. Really good first sector here. Personal best first sector for Kyle Washington, so he hasn't given up hope. He's continuing to push here.
How about this second career for Memo Gidley? We talked about it some yesterday, but that horrifying accident he had 2014 at Daytona. It was an arduous recovery process, but this paddock offered him a path back into motorsports, and for a couple of different teams over the past few years, we've seen him run at the front, won a championship a few years ago, back for a full season for the first time in a little while, and they've got their eyes firmly set on taking the SRO3 crown.
Yeah, he won it back in 2023 with TKO. Dave Traitel kind of gave Memo that opportunity to get back into a race car. He grabbed it with both hands and just loves his racing. Super guy, just one of the most pleasant guys you'll ever meet in the world of motorsports, Memo was. So it's great to see him have this second lease on. And I'd call it life, not just racing, because racing is his life, you know.
And what he's done here in this paddock has opened enough eyes. It gave him a chance to go race in the Asian Le Mans Series over the winter, kept him sharp ahead of the season opener in Sonoma. Yesterday, started 4th, had to fight his way to get to the front, took to the final lap to take the lead, a lead which he then held to get win number 3 on the season. Today, though, starting on the front row, Memo Gidley unchallenged in his run to the checkered flag. It's a 4-for-4 start for Memo Gidley and Ski Auto Sports. They take victory in race 2 at Circuit of the Americas. Kyle Washington and GMG will take home a hard-fought second. He trimmed off another 1.5 seconds, but it wasn't quite enough on the final lap.
Yeah, it wasn't enough, but it's just a great charge there by Kyle. Pekka's coming through for another win in GT4.
Yep, his 3rd career win, 2nd of the weekend here at Sonoma. Congratulations to Joe, the whole RCX Motorsports team. Congratulations as well to Jason McCarthy. 3rd place finish in just his 2nd race in the championship. Showed really good pace, really good racecraft. That's something he can be extremely pleased with. And now we wait for the final class to cross the line. David Lecco in the Ginetta looking for his 4th win on the bounce as well.
Tell you what was cool, Ryan, looking at the best laps of the day. We had 9 drivers within half a second of that fast lap by Washington. That just sets up a great championship season. The pace is there. It's all about just execution for a number of these drivers who are yet to see the podium, but they can be knocking on the door at any time.
Well, the SRO3 class is going through a bit of a renaissance right now. This is what we saw for so many years with high-level, bronze-graded drivers fighting for the championship, using it as a jumping point to get to GT World Challenge America. Others using it as a destination, some using it as a showcase for the machinery. That's the case here for Lecco, who sees the checkered flag and takes that Ginetta to another win. This time unopposed, but the first 2 were not, so credit where credit is due. But man, it is fun to see, and Memo Gidley would agree. He's talked about it in Victory Lane yesterday, the resurgence in competition in the top class.
Yeah, I mean, that opening lap that he put together was sensational. That just laid out the table for him for the rest of the race, but he certainly had some heat coming at there at the end, but he managed it perfectly, as you'd expect. Never blinked, dealt with that traffic, lost a little bit of time. Suddenly it's like, uh-oh, is he in trouble? Is he vulnerable? It was not the case. He just had enough in hand. Won the race by a 1.5 seconds, but another 5 laps could have been a different story.
No question about it. Certainly could. And for Joe Petkus, you could tell how happy he was in Victory Lane yesterday. Gets to park that car back there once again here on the Sunday as well. Coming up next, you've alluded to it, a trip to Sebring. Couldn't be a whole lot different of a circuit. Not much in the way of elevation change there. Old school track. I don't think they've ever heard the word runoff uttered in Sebring. I mean, just about everywhere you go, it is full of peril, but that's part of the charm of the place.
Certainly is.
So a look back on the results here from race number 2. Memo Gidley by a 1.5 seconds effectively over Kyle Washington. Strong drive for him here in race 2. McCarthy, first career podium in his 2nd race, finishes 3rd. Tony Davis, a 2nd and a 4th. A lot to be pleased with here this weekend. And Ross Schwest, a podium and a 5th place finish across the 2 races. Then Dan Knox, welcome back to Dan and Lone Star Racing. Hope to see more of them as the season progresses. Cortez won out in that duel with Mutso to get 7th position, while Dave Musial Sr. finished 9th. Scott Blend, what might have been, finishes in 10th place. Thor Haugen, John Manship, Tony Ferraro through 13th, and CJ Moses and Rodin Unesi, the rest of the SRO3 field. David Lecco, Joe Petkus, and Craig Lumsden completing the 18-car field, with Lecco and Petkus picking up victories in class. But as Calvin mentioned, the pace between the fastest 9 cars, I mean, nearly identical, less than half a second covering that group. Really unbelievably close, and sets the table nicely for what's still to come this season. Sebring is next, then Road Atlanta, a track that many of these drivers will not have a whole lot of experience at previously. Then Road America, Barber, and the season finale at Indianapolis. There's Memo Gidley. A little less drama in the victory today compared to yesterday. You could tell the emotion yesterday when he parked it in Victory Lane, having taken the lead on the final lap. You don't get a chance to do that very often as a racing driver, to take a victory on the last lap, right?
That's right. Very different dynamic. The race was pretty much won on the first lap here today, and the last lap yesterday was under threat, but I don't think he was too stressed. I think he had enough in hand and knows that that Audi is really strong. When he had to dig a little bit deeper, he found a few tenths. So not sure what the true potential was of that race car in terms of the ultimate lap time, and he would have been managing that to a certain degree. So great start to the campaign. Didn't run in the first few events last year. That cost them big time in terms of the championship, but recognize if we do a full season, we can definitely go out and win the crown, and they're well on their way already.
Yeah, you're right. They debuted here last year, having missed the opening races at Sonoma and at Long Beach, but turned up at COTA and immediately were podium contenders. This year, though, a totally different story. It is a streak of victories now that's extended to 4 in a row, Amanda.
Maybe you had someone new on the wall giving you celebration today. I don't know if you saw Kent made his way up there to congratulate you as you took the checkered flag. Yesterday I asked you what words you'd want to say to him. Today I want you to say, what do you want to say to Rosella for the race car she gave you today?
Rosella is great. I mean, my engineer, my number one, she's awesome. And, you know, we just have such a core group right now. I mean, I was thinking we've got the A-team right now. I mean, everybody just knocks it out, does such a great job. It's just, I mean, it's a pleasure. You get spoiled in this kind of situation because everything is done so well that you don't have to take care of. All you have to do is focus on driving. So thank you to Ski Auto Sports and Kent and Melissa and all the team. Thank you very much.
Championship or bust?
You know, someone's got to win some races, and it might as well be me, you know, trying to get out there and inspire others to just go out there and do it, you know, make it all happen and give maximum effort. That's what I try and do all the time. Maximum.
Well, Sonoma was the first time that Ski Auto Sports swept the weekend. They do it here again at the Circuit of the Americas. We're going to sneak over to David Lecco, who in his Jannetta drove it around here at COTA. Much different conditions today. How did your race car feel?
It felt amazing. I got to do a lot of laps very consistently, which is what I work on days like today.
Congratulations, David.
And the winner in the Cup class, and Jannetta really did look fun through the high-speed S's. I can imagine that he was really enjoying that.
Yeah, it's a great looking car. Reminds me of a bit of a Viper with its overall design.
Yes.
Q is obviously different engine, 8-cylinder versus a 10.
Let's go down to Amanda once more.
We're just talking about the race down here in GT4, and you said it was much better today. How different did the race car feel this morning?
So yesterday it's like so hot outside. I'm feeling better today for the inside because it's like what 80s outside. Yesterday it's like 95. It's so hot. So maybe I'm not tired of what I was yesterday. So that's all basically. And the traffic, I think is way better.
Congratulations, Joe. 2 wins here in GT4.
Yep, in his first starts of the season, adding that to a victory he picked up at the tail end of the year last year in a cameo appearance at Indianapolis. Congratulations to Joe and the whole RCX team. So through 4 races this season, the championship looks like this. A 52-point lead for Mamo Gidley. Unbelievable. Ahead of Kyle Washington, 48 points. Tony Davis to 42 points and 3rd place. Ross Schwest, though, not too terribly far behind. Mark Mutso as well. Another solid day. Look how tight it is, really, from Kyle Washington all the way on back to Scott Blind. This is going to be a championship to follow, and Mamo's right. Someone's going to go on a win streak. It might as well be him, in his own words, to start the season. But with that in mind, we'll head to Sebring to see if anyone can snap the streak.